Hello, and welcome to the official Hacks podcast from HBO Max and Same Boat Studios. My name, it's Lucia Aniello. I'm the co-showrunner and co-creator of Hacks. Joining me are my absolute people, the brilliant showrunners of Hacks along with me, my little petunias, Jen Statsky and Paul W. Downs.
Hello. Hi. Hello. So fun.
Well, here we are. We're back. We're here to talk about episode 7 of season 5, which is titled Montecito. It was written by Guy Branum, Andrew Law, and Bridget Parker, a very special guest who we'll have on the pod later. And it was directed by the one, the only, the king of comedy, Paul W. Downs.
That's me.
Now, this episode, though it was a dream to make, starts off
Good
with
one,
a nightmare.
Make me laugh, bitch. You hunky asshole. We want our money back.
And Deborah channels her anxiety into finding the perfect outfit for her MSG show.
Aha, the Six of Cups. We are going into the past, Deb. Vintage. Oh, I've been thinking new. It should be old.
And she'll do anything to get her hands on the jumpsuit of her dreams.
Oh, by the way, Kelly Kilpatrick thinks I'm gay and you're my secret wife, so we have to spend the weekend pretending to be lesbian lovers so I can get that Carol Burnett jumpsuit. What?
And by pretending to be in a romantic relationship, Deborah and Ava learn some things about their actual relationship. This episode
Let's just chat about it.
Speaks for itself. Oh, okay. No, let's talk about
speaks
it.
for itself. See you next week.
Yes, Montecito.
It begins with a nightmare. The classic actor's nightmare. Getting on stage, either without your lines or in this case, without your clothes.
Yeah.
Showing up to class without having studied for the test. It's a classic anxiety dream.
Yes.
Even her teeth fall out in this dream, which is a classic anxiety dream.
We thought it would be very fun for Deborah to be experiencing some anxiety leading up to the MSG show.
As she would.
And this was not easy to shoot.
Oh,
Would you say so?
I think it was fine.
Well, I guess, you know what, on the day it wasn't that hard, but I'll let you speak to that as the auteur.
Well, I will say this. One thing that we got to do in this episode that's been a dream of mine for years is camera in the mouth.
Not to speak on it, babe.
I've wanted to do this for years. I wanted to do it in Broad City. I wanted every act break where invariably Abby or Ilana would scream to the heavens. That would be how we ended an act and went to a commercial.
You know what?
I always wanted that camera to go into the mouth.
Remember when that guy screamed, "Cherish"? The camera should have gone in the mouth there.
100%.
There's so many
pitching
places,
it. But it's actually hard to do. And what we had to do is use a probe camera, a very small camera that begins in the mouth, is pulled out. So what you're seeing on television is a reverse because the camera began against Jean's dabla glabla. You know, it was right pressed against her dabla glabla and just pulled right
Dr.
out.
Downs. The funniest part about shooting this was it required so many pieces. We had to shoot J. Smith Cameron separately.
Oh, yes.
Jay.
Many
To
times. That poor
VFX
woman,
in.
she had to laugh maniacally 1,000
Yes. Oh, my
times.
But do you also remember we did it as we do many times on this show? We had it like our main unit and then a B unit running at the same time on stage. And do you remember that Lynn, Jean's stunt double, had to do the camera and had to
We were doing a
scream?
camera test for the probe, and we asked her to scream.
But no one warned us on the other unit
No.
that some woman was going to be screaming at the
Bloody
top of her
murder.
lungs
It was
at
so
the other side of the
terrifying.
stage.
Which is not normally the vibe on our set. We try to keep things chilly.
Yeah.
It was horror.
It was horror.
She's actually a scream queen, really.
her scream.
Her
She has a
scream was
great
amazing.
scream.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. It was so blood curdling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout
My
out
blood
to
is still
Lynn,
curdled.
Lynn's scream.
Yeah. But so, yeah, that dream sequence is a compilation of a lot of different
lot of
visual
work.
Many
effects,
different
too.
elements, a lot of visual effects.
And a nude bod.
And a nude bod. Thank you so much to Jean for offering that. That's a joke, dear listener. We did have a body double, and that's all I'll say.
But I
wakes
was happy to do it.
Thank you, Jen.
Babe, you look
amazing.
fabulous. Okay,
Yeah.
so her ass wakes up. Instead of thinking, oh, this is an anxiety dream, we should be working on the work, she gets obsessed with the idea of getting a perfect outfit. She calls the one and only psychic to the stars, Diana.
Now, Diana is played by Polly Draper, who is such a brilliant actress and so funny to us.
Oh.
This is the third season we've had her back.
Yes.
And this is another example of an actor who is going to be on the show just in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's a flavor I really like
That's
in
the
the show.
thing is it's a flavor of like these people have psychics and they bring them in whenever they need them.
Whenever there's a moment of crisis.
Yeah. I believe it was her pitch to be eating salami in the scene.
Oh, by the way, I had a client who paid me in salami. Do you guys want some? I think it's pretty good. It smells good.
We have another brilliant cameo in this
Oh,
episode
my
in that same
God.
scene. The one, the only Bob Mackie.
Bob
Thank you,
Mackie,
Bob.
a legendary fashion designer, as all our listeners know. If you watch Hacks
Barbara
instead of the
knows.
podcast,
She's
you
worked with
certainly
him.
know.
She's had his-
and Barbara definitely knows.
She probably has a couple pieces.
This cameo was a long time coming in the Hacks universe.
Mm-hmm.
We've always, in the pitch for the show, we talked about how Bob Mackie designed
Mm-hmm.
all of Deborah's residency outfits.
That's
Yes.
right. We almost had him in episode 503. We thought, should we have her meeting with a designer for that card dress that she's wearing? And then we thought, you know what? Let's save it because we have an even better place.
And my favorite line, of course, is why he can't do this for Deb.
Deb, if I do something for you, I got to do something for Cher. Then the next thing you know, Sabrina Carpenter is outside my door with a sewing machine and a gun.
I don't need a new design. Do you remember Carol's white look from her final episode?
Of course, I had it for years, but I donated it to a charity auction.
Do you remember who won it?
It was actually one of your fellow stand-up comics, but I shouldn't say who.
So it's freaking Kelly Kirkpatrick. That's who has the damn jumpsuit.
Played by the incredible Cherry Jones.
Now, let's talk about how committed we were to getting Cherry Jones on the show.
You know, once we had put her in our mind's eye in the show, it was really hard to picture anyone else.
And same with Leslie Bibb.
Leslie Bibb, we also offered because we thought that would be
Incredible
the perfect
couple.
They felt so good as
And
a
they
couple.
were
It
so-
made
They
so
were-
much sense.
And we're so lucky to have incredible guest stars on the show. Some of the best. Many times we're so lucky that our first offer, the person we want for it, says yes. And sometimes they say no.
They have said no.
They have
Oh,
said
yeah,
no,
right.
and we know. They know
Yeah.
Cher has said no.
people nicely say, "Oh, I bet no one ever says no to Hacks," and that's not true at all.
That's not true, Helen.
But I tell you what,
that's not the truth.
I will say this. When the person we think will bring a dynamic to the role that no one else could says yes, it works.
And that
Yeah.
is what happened here. They were
Yes.
our
Yeah.
first offers for both roles.
And they were
Yeah.
really, really fabulous.
And they were so real feeling together. The moment you even just saw them together, I was like, oh my God. They just had it. They had chemistry.
Cherry was like, oh, I'm a little intimidated coming onto such a hard comedy set. You know, it's not something that I do every day. Because she is so grounded and so real, she was so funny. Leslie is someone who's done a lot of comedy.
Oh, yeah. Talladega Nights, every moment she opens her mouth in that, she
She is-
steals that movie.
And these are both women who do drama incredibly well, but they are so good in this comedy and added so much to it, including
Deborah Vance, you little petunia.
they really just made the roles their own. They felt so lived in and so good.
Yeah, I love the moment at the very end where they're walking back into the house after Deborah and Ava have been dismissed, and they're improvising there.
Honey, let's adopt another disabled dog.
Oh, baby. You know, there's pads everywhere, and you got to put the things on the back.
I know, I'm
legs.
gonna put a pad
And
on
then-
you.
don't
I'm
do
gonna
that.
put
You
a
know
pad
I hate
on
my
you.
pudding
How
ass.
about
Quit it,
them
quit it.
apples?
And I wanted to use a longer take, which why don't we play for them? There was a very long take where they actually made it all the way back to the kitchen.
Let's adopt another disabled dog.
Oh, sweetheart.
Please.
No, I mean, you know, the pee, the pads, the
You
diapers.
pee.
And then the ones with no teeth, they're always gumming the
Well,
socks
that's
off
okay,
your
then we
feet.
don't have to
And
brush
you can
them.
never find the socks. You know those Paul Smith ones? I still haven't found those ones. I do not want. It's the smell. It's the fucking smell. This is a big house. It reeks. It reeks every time. I am not. No. No. Absolutely not.
Dear listeners, I think you may sometimes hear extended versions, longer versions, and say, that was so funny. Why on earth wouldn't you keep it in? And we hear you. And now here's why.
And we feel your pain.
We feel your pain. We so feel your pain. But the thing is there are so many of those moments. There's so many of them that if we kept them all in, it would feel bloated. And I know you're going, no, that's not true. But we know what it is like to just watch these cuts them. And they're like, right now we try to keep them 34, 30. How long is this one? I forget.
This one's a little bit long.
37.
Yeah.
This season we did, that's the thing. It's a perfect example of something that would be a nice to have but not a need to have because there was so much we could not cut. This was so fun to see Ava torment Deborah in this scenario. It was a classic farce. It was something that just was so juicy and fun. I would say we probably laughed at Village, and all of us laughed. I mean, even Leslie and Cherry were laughing. We
Yeah.
were all laughing so much. This was such a
whole
fun
week.
episode.
It was a really
yeah.
fun week. We shot it in Malibu, all at that house. Yeah, it was just a really good.
yeah.
Because we don't really do bottles like this.
Yeah,
No.
it's very rare we're in the same location for like 5 days in a row.
Yes, especially because as you've heard all about by now, the block shooting, et cetera, et cetera. You know, they're like, God, we
Do
feel like we're in
1.5.
production
Do
meetings.
two times speed right now when we talk about it.
No, I'm not going to talk about
It's
it.
over. It's over.
I'm just going to say it's like kind of rare for us to like be. I mean, like when we go to Vegas, it kind of feels like that. But in any case, to be in this beautiful home, which by the way I think is still up for sale,
Yes, that home is for sale.
and it's beautiful. But anyways, to be in that place, it felt almost like a dream-like scenario.
Yes.
Dream scenario.
Oh,
Christopher
from
Borgley.
nightmare opening to dreamlike scenario.
Oh wow. Okay, but then
Oh,
and by the way, she gets the jumpsuit in the end. So in the end, it worked out. But
she does.
It is a happy ending.
and you know what's funny is we have them say like that was easy, right? She
Yes.
says that, which is something we say constantly about things that are very very hard.
Yeah.
We're like, well, that was easy.
And the jumpsuit is, of course, actually worn by Carol Burnett in her show.
That's right. We wanted Deborah to be after something that was actually a real reference. That was something that someone had worn. And this was kind of the perfect thing. This is the final season of Hacks. It was the outfit that Carol Burnett wore in her final show of an iconic show. We know because we've established that Deborah is a fan of Carol's. So it did feel like the right thing that she would be fixated on.
Yeah.
And go to any lengths to get, including allowing Ava to suggest that she eats her ass.
Now let's talk about it.
Ass eating?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's a blooper, but can we play just like a really quick supercut of Deborah not being able to say that line, not being able to get through it and laughing every time?
Don't you bring up ass after you said I eat it.
Okay, you know what?
So funny, Gene. It's
Don't you bring up ass after you said I consume it.
This is a woman of God.
Don't you dare bring up ass after you said I eat it. Oh, no. I swear to Christ. She has to be here.
No, maybe not. Maybe we can comp her in.
Don't you dare bring up ass after you said I eat it.
Okay.
I think we got it.
So as this episode progresses, Ava is feeling like Deborah is keeping something from her. She's not at Miraval. She's dodging calls from Damien while Ava's there. Things just feel a tad bit shady.
Mm-hmm.
And they are.
And
And they are. And we learn that is because Deborah has kept this medical procedure from Ava, but that she's had it taken care of and she's okay. But she's somebody who's very guarded. Yes. And Ava kind of doesn't want to be there with her anymore. But then again, Ava overshares, tells too much to too many people, kind of can't stop talking. So they're really diametrically opposed in that way. And yet they do agree by the end that they could both gain to learn something from one another.
You know, one of the things that we wanted to explore was this, and it is an intergenerational difference. I think a lot of people in our writer's room had the experience of a parent or a loved one who went through something and didn't tell them until way after. I've experienced that, where it's like, you had what?
Surgery went fine.
Yeah,
What surgery?
I would say that Ava and Deborah fall into some really classic anxious avoidant attachment behavior.
I
And
would
that
say
is
so, too.
really
Speak on it.
explored in this episode. Now, all of our podcast listeners are very well versed in the topic of psychology, so I don't need to say it, but
That's
I
right.
will.
Yes.
You can.
I will give you a refresher, Barbara. You know, secure attachment, you either have secure attachment or you have avoidant attachment or you have anxious attachment. And I think Ava has some real patterns of anxious attachment while Deborah has some real avoidant patterns. And that's what comes out in this episode.
Thank you, Dr. Statsky. Well, that brings us to our guest here on the pod.
Yes, the one and only Bridget Parker.
Hi, Bridget.
Hello, Bridget.
Bridget.
Oh
Thank you,
my God.
guys.
We're very excited to have you.
So this episode had nothing lesbian about it, but then you made us do that. Just kidding, guys.
I'm
Just
always
kidding.
pushing the gay agenda.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
right. This is like a gay agenda infiltrator in our midst.
I said you got to lesbian it up in here.
That's right. That's right. And she weirdly says that every day. And this time we were like, oh, that makes sense.
How was it working with two other writers to write this
Oh, it was
as a
a
triumvirate?
dream. They're both such good mentors. And I feel that they've been really kind and encouraging to me over the whole show. So it was really a joy to get to work closely with
great.
them.
Andrew Law has, yes, been with us since, again, also season 1,
That's
just
right.
like Bridget. And
Guy came on season 3.
Guy came on season 3. They're both phenomenal writers. but we said Bridget's the one we're going to have here today.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys.
Now, Bridget, you have also been with the show since the beginning.
And you've been on set more than anyone else.
I think I've been on set more than anyone else in my generation.
Yeah, that's so true.
That's right. Well,
That's
because other
true,
people in your
yeah.
generation have come and gone.
Yeah. I mean, writers really get to go to set. I feel that we are
Yes.
very lucky to get to go to
Yes.
set. And I feel I've learned a lot in a crazy way. And I've grown over the years.
You run that shit.
I know, honestly.
I really do feel like
we
I
should
run
say that
this
Bridget
shit.
is also the most popular person on set.
Oh, yeah.
As a consulting producer and someone who's done punch up on the show, what is it like? You're the only person who's on set to know if your punch up or your alt joke was used. That must be crazy.
That is a high I have to chase.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when you don't know what's happening and then it happens, you're like, oh my God.
Okay.
This is the best day of my
Yes.
whole life.
So
That's good.
for our listeners,
Yes.
if we haven't explained the process.
I don't know if we've ever talked about this.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Every day on set, our script coordinator, Tara McGrath, sends us a giant document of all the alts for the day, each scene. We have had punch-up writers and also our writers in our writer's room pitch jokes to punch up any areas that felt like, this joke could be beaten, that joke, here's an alt to it, here's an extra joke. But we do it in a way that we just get this packet of alts, and so we go through it so we can just pitch it to the actors on the day, but we don't know who's written what.
That's right.
But of course, Bridget knows.
It's very democratic in that way.
It is cool
That's
in
right.
that way.
It's very cool.
It's very cool.
It's very cool. But you know when it's yours if we pick it.
It's so funny. And you could probably say, oh, I think that one's pretty good. But you don't. You let us choose.
Yeah, I let you choose. There's like a few times when I was like, that was fine.
Yes.
If you get more than one in a day, it's
Wow.
really
Oh my
a
God. You're
huge
taking
In a-
yourself
in a-
out to dinner that night.
Yeah. And in a great moment, you wrote a line for Lucia in episid 3.
Oh, yeah.
What
What
line?
line?
If they don't disclose, I don't stick my nose.
Oh, yeah.
yes, I did.
And I heard Bridget go, I wrote that.
Well, it was so exciting for it to be Lucia's line. That she
Oh,
That's what I
it's
mean. It was
so
so cool
good.
for you
Yeah.
to write something for Lucia.
You know what? Here's my motto. If they don't disclose, I don't stick my nose. Okay, so I have no idea. But for you, I might stick my nose somewhere.
Now, when we said you want to write this episode, what did you think?
I was shaking in my boots. I was so excited.
Is it now? This is your first episode of television.
This
Correct?
is my first episode of television.
It's a
Wow.
banger.
I'm
It's a
telling you, I
banger.
think it's a classic already, an instant classic.
Just based on people's reactions to it, that when we've shown them as we've been editing and stuff, this is a real fan favorite. So congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you. It was incredible. It was a dream come true. It was an embarrassment of riches, first of all. The cast was just unreal
So good.
to watch them all go off each other. And it was nice that it was a little bit in a contained location, this beautiful house.
Actually, and let's do one piece of trivia about that house. We were looking for a location and we had a handful of homes and they weren't really right. And I found a picture of a home and I was like, let's base it on this. And our location manager said, how about it is that? Because that's a house that is actually on the location services.
Wow.
That moment has got to hit.
It hit everything right. It was so good. I was so happy. Beautiful home.
Love it.
It is for sale and it's a bargain at $22 million.
Pod listeners, if you're sitting on $22 million that you don't know what to do with, consider
Anybody love
buying the Hacks house from Montecito.
Any huge fans who love that episode and know it's a classic should buy that house,
Okay, Bridget, what else do you want to say about this episode or your experience working on the show?
Any
It
fun
could be
stories, any
anything.
fun stuff.
Is there a joke you're proudest of that you want to brag
Oh
about?
yeah, you have a favorite joke from the episode?
Lucia turned to me and was like, who's someone, a cartoon that you were into as a kid?
Yeah.
And I was like, Lola Bunny?
So, what's everybody's first celebrity crush? Mine, Lola Bunny from Space Jam. I was beating my meat hard to that girl every night.
Yeah. Lola Bunny. Lola Bunny. I was.
Oh, that was
beating
good.
my
That came
meat
on
to
the
that
day.
one.
Oh, yeah.
That was good.
Then it was nice to be a part of that. I see you guys do that constantly. Just like in the moment, something changes.
Oh, try and figure
Try
something.
and, like, figure
to
out
try
a
and
joke
enhance
or what
something
the
makes something
line
better in
is.
the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because, we obviously, things are very scripted, but we do try to punch things up on the day or like follow the fun a little bit and try to improve. But it's always like a battle between time to do that and, time.
One compliment that I'll give to Leslie Bibb is oftentimes we have really prepared in such a way that we've scouted a location, blocked a scene, and lit a scene in such a way that it kind of limits sometimes the places that an actor can go. because this was more of a bottle and we had a little bit more leeway in terms of the location, we were able to allow the actors to do more. And I will say, I think it would have been a challenge because Leslie really, like, she threw herself on the daybed and she jumped up on the counter and she was doing things that in another scenario might not have been possible. We might have been like, well, you kind of have to hit this mark because this is kind of what we have time for and what we're lit for. But because we were able to do that, she really elevated things and made things her own and made some very interesting choices in terms of just blocking.
She had some very, specific and hilarious physicality. We're like always seeing the bottom of her feet, which I love.
I think she asked to be barefoot.
It's so
I don't know
funny.
that was
Really
scripted,
funny.
maybe.
I think she might have asked.
I think
so.
that was a Leslie Bibb
Which I
special.
love. And you know what is another moment I love is that we know Sia.
Oh, yeah, we've been doing shibari. That's rope play. So she'll kind of tie me up, hang me from the damn ceiling like a chandelier.
We know Sia.
Now, let's talk about how we got there because
Yes.
when she said, like, she's tying me up like a damn chandelier.
That was improvised.
Yes.
Yes, Hannah improvised that entire run about rope
shibari.
play and shibari, which is very funny.
But we had kind of I don't know if we talked to Leslie about
She
the
read a
backstory.
draft.
Oh, she read a draft. That's
Because
what it
there were a
was.
couple of alts. The alt that made it into the episode you'll hear now.
By the way, who to wife? Her name is Monica. She's younger. You'd think she was a gold digger, but no, apparently she has family money.
Tight.
Wonder Bread.
Oh, cha-ching.
But an alt of that, which I think was in an earlier draft that Leslie read, they had both met at a dinner party that Sia had.
Yes.
Kelly Kirkpatrick and Leslie. Leslie was dating the drummer in Motorhead
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
and then had met Kelly at a Sia salon dinner
And had
party.
left the drummer for Motorhead at the party
That's
and
right.
left and went home with Kelly and moved right in with Kelly.
So that had been the backstory. And so when Hannah improvised the shibari run and ended with, she's hanging me from the ceiling like a dang chandelier, it triggered for Leslie the memory of her backstory, which to her was about Sia. And she said, oh, we know Sia.
Yes. So it's an homage to an earlier
Yes,
script. And thank you, Leslie, for respecting early drafts. That is what every actor should do. And that's why we love you. And guess what? Now I'm going to give you another compliment, Leslie. One of my favorite moments from this whole episode is after Deborah and Ava leave the pool area after admitting that they're not really a couple, which, well, that's debatable. And Leslie goes,
So sad. Oh, it makes me feel sick.
there's something about that performance that's so real. She's like, this was crazy.
She
and
feels
gross.
physically ill.
Yes,
at
and her
this.
physicality, the way she moves her hands, the way her fit, it's just so funny to me. Leslie, I think you are a doll and hilarious. Okay, so let's talk about the kissing scene. The scene where Deborah and Ava kiss briefly and then less briefly.
Well, Deborah's gotten herself into a pickle because
sure has.
she has set up this farce for them because she needs this thing. It's a very selfish act. She's pimping Ava into this position.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's very unwise. She makes a couple jokes at Ava's expense for the ladies.
Why does she do that? She kind of feels like that's how you know it's a real relationship.
I think she's trying to make it seem authentic. And I
Yes.
think she's also trying to endear herself to
Yeah.
Kelly
Yes.
and
She's like,
Monica.
yeah.
So I think
That's what a
there's-
relationship looks like to her.
But guess what? She's not factoring in the idea that Ava can retaliate.
Yeah.
And she does. She says, give me a kiss, baby.
Oh my God.
Doesn't it just feel like yesterday, Deb?
Yeah, sweetie. Sometimes it feels like 100 years.
Aw. Give me a kiss, baby.
And boy, did we have to pry him off each other. Really funny. And of course, they have kissed before season 1 in The Dream. So this is not new territory for our actresses.
They're always kissing off camera behind the
Yeah,
scenes.
of course. I think they thought it was hilarious and so fun.
Hannah did her big one. She did great. Like,
Oh, yeah.
she went in.
Yeah.
It was so much longer than
Oh.
I thought it was going to be.
In the final cut.
Because I knew she would do a little bit of that as a bit, but I was like, oh my God.
No. I think we were like, how long can we do this? I think we love playing with like things going on longer than you think they should.
Yeah.
Jen wrote the opening of my special, where in preparing to go on stage, I do a line of cocaine, and Jen pitched that it went around the entire dressing room and lasted like 3 minutes. And it was practical. It was actual practical. I didn't actually snort it. There was a vacuum up my sleeve,
Yes.
but it was. So we do that, and
We
we did
do,
it.
yeah.
We've done it in Hacks. We did it when she's changing the canister for the soda machine. that plays out in real time. Well, there are other things that play out in real time.
We did her in the doctor's office taking off all her jewelry
Yes.
in episode 305.
So often we are like, things need to be down to the millisecond. We take out half breaths. We are so like diligent about things being like tight. But sometimes we like things being so long, almost in contrast to that tightness.
That's right.
Is there anything specific, I guess, you feel like you've learned from this show that you're like, oh, that was a lovely part of it?
In terms of learning, I would feel like we have just such little time a lot of the time.
I know.
I thought that you would be like so prepared when you get there and you're going to have all that, and really you're making decisions in real time. And then by doing that all the time, that is your experience. And then that's how you're more precise about it. But it's just like the trying and failing all the time instead
I
of.
don't always fail, but yeah.
It's very
Not
like,
you guys.
As
Yeah.
a
She doesn't
basketball
feel.
fan, maybe you'll agree. It's like you have your game plan, you
Yes.
have your coaching strategy, but then you have to play the game, and things come up in the game
Yes.
that you can never be prepared for. But the experience and practice make you prepared to handle it.
But by being like in that scenario so many times, you're like, okay, I can handle this. I just have to like keep going and keep making the decisions.
Yes.
And then I'm obviously going to miss the people and the incredible vibes.
Well, I would
Yeah.
miss the people too if I was everybody's favorite. Like,
Yeah.
Well, that is it for episode 7. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been the official Hacks podcast with Lucia Aniello, Paul W. Downs, and our very special guest, Bridget Parker. And me, Jen Statsky, but who cares? The Hacks podcast is produced by HBO Max in collaboration with Same Boat Studios.
Our executive producers are Gabrielle Lewis and Barry Finkel. Our senior producer is Emmanuel Hapsis. The show is mixed by Hannes Brown, and our technical director is In-Sung Hwang. Special thanks to Michael Gluckstadt, Allison Cohen, Sorokach, and Kenya Reyes from the HBO Max podcast team.
You can watch all of Hacks on HBO Max, and we'll be back next week to dig into episode 8. Until then...
Quit chowing down on that thing. It ain't groceries.